Do you do a budget? Do you do a brand new budget every month? And do you do a budget where you give every dollar an assignment? Well, today I'm going to show you how. Hey guys, I'm Coach Nino Villa, and if you've spent any time with me on the Thursday night hangouts, you know how important I think it is that you have a plan for your money. And the first component to that plan is budget. Now, I've shared my budget on other videos, and I've even touched on how I think the thinking that goes on behind my budget. But I never have done my actual budget on video before. Well, you're in for a rare treat, because today I'm going to do my January budget and talk to you through each step. That way, if you're new to budgeting or need a real life example, you'll have one. And remember, I offer 2 free budgeting sessions to new subscribers. So be sure to subscribe and request your session after watching this video. So here we go. All right, this is my budgeting form. It's a simple Google spreadsheet. Blow it up for you so that you can see it. In column A, I simply track my income and my expenses, so each category. We'll talk about how to prioritize these categories as we move forward. In column B, I track the entire month, and then I use columns C and D to track my pay periods. Now, I get paid every 2 weeks, so that is usually 2 pay periods in a month. And in a month where I might get paid 3 times in a month, I would just use an extra column. The last 3 columns I use to track my debt expenses. So here specifically, I track the total, the minimum monthly payments, and the new minimum monthly payments in my debt snowball for anything that I still owe a balance on, like my mortgage or my student loans. Now down at the bottom here, I use different tabs for each one of the months. And so we are still currently in December, but it's smart to kind of get ahead. And so while we're in mid-December, I'm going to plan my January budget. So let's take a look. First things first. Let's talk about pay periods. I'm going to get paid on the 9th and again on the 23rd. Those are my 2 pay periods within the month of January. And I know exactly what my checks are going to be. I'm a salary employee, so I know it's not going to fluctuate. And I am going to bring home, excuse me, $1,913.20 in each paycheck. Each time I get paid, it's going to be for that set amount. And so for the month, I know that I'm going to bring in $3,826.40. Pretty self-explanatory and pretty straightforward. As far as additional income, this might be anything that maybe I decide to have a garage sale and sell some stuff, or maybe I sell some stuff online. Maybe I pick up some odd jobs here or there. And so I leave a space for any additional income. For instance, in the month of November, we sold a couple of high ticket items that we simply don't use in the house anymore. And so we had additional income in that month. Right now, not anticipating anything for the month of January. And so we'll just leave that blank. So that's my income. That's what I have to work with. I have $3,826 coming in, and that is what we have to pay all the bills with. Now, I list all of my expenses by priority. And so in our family, I've shared this before, I'll share it again. we believe in giving to God what is God's, and that is our first fruits. And so 1/10 of our income going to the Lord. So that total each pay period is $266.52. Yes, I tithe 10% to the penny. So for the month, that would be $533.04. As you can see, right now, all I'm doing is I'm splitting up for the month how much I would pay in each pay period. Okay. Now, saving and investing is the next important thing to do. But if you're following Dave Ramsey's program, then you know that baby step number 1 is save $1,000 for an emergency fund. And currently, my wife and I are fully funded at $1,000 for our emergency fund. And baby step number 2 is to pay off all of our debts. Once all your debts are paid, then you would actually increase your emergency fund to be much larger, anywhere between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But baby step 1, $1,000 set aside for an emergency. Baby step 2, eliminate all your debt. I haven't eliminated all of my debt yet, so it's important that any additional funds I have continue to go towards debt to pay that down. So this month, we're not going to contribute anything to the emergency fund. The sinking fund is just a fancy term for I'm saving up to buy stuff. And so you're going to have purchases along the way that are larger ticketed items. And so it's important that you save for those purchases. Currently, we are saving to replace the tires on my car. The tires on the car are now about 3 years old. So it's time for them to be replaced. And it's going to cost us anywhere between $350 to $400, depending on the style of tire that I select. So last month in December, we used some extra funds to sock that away towards savings. And you'll see that right now we're carrying a balance of $494.85. So I now have more than enough money to go and buy those tires. So we're not going to contribute anything additional this month. Right now, we are holding on any retirement funding so that we can get ourselves out of debt, and we will resume once we have completed the debt snowball. And then lastly, we will be saving and investing for our kids' college, and we're just not there yet. So let's take a look at our regular monthly expenses. Now, I think it's important that you do a brand new budget every single month on paper, on purpose, where you assign every dollar a mission. And so I think it's also important for you to identify what are my priorities and what am I going to make sure gets paid before something else. So listing these in priority is really easy to do. And so our first priority is we need to eat. I'm not going to allow my family to go hungry just to make sure that the student loan gets paid. So we budget $200 per paycheck. Okay, so this month, since there's 2 paychecks, it's $400. In a month where I have 3 paychecks in the month, it would be $600. We like to separate items that are going in our mouth from items that are not going in our mouth. So toiletries, your paper towels, your toilet paper, cleaning supplies, etc. So we budget $50 per paycheck for that. That's going to be $100 this month. And then we have a little one at home who is still in diapers and still drinks formula and has very specific needs. And so we budget $75 a paycheck to cover the baby's specific needs. So there you have it. We've just finished out the food category. So when we go grocery shopping, these are the 3 different areas in which we are shopping for. And it's real simple. With these, we take the money out of the bank, we stuff them in envelopes marked food, non-food, and baby fund. and then we shop out of those envelopes. And yes, we get to the grocery store and we shop for all 3 items at once. And then when we get to the checkout, we actually group them by type, and we pay for groceries first, and we pay out of the grocery envelope. And then we scan all the toiletries and pay for the toiletries separately out of the toiletries account. And then lastly, we scan all the baby items and we pay for the baby items separately. So we get some weird looks, but who cares? I'm on a plan. The plan's working, and not enough people control their money. So I control my money instead of my money controlling me. All right, then we get into housing. Housing is going to be your next most important expenditure. You want to keep a roof over your head. And I've already gone ahead and looked at what are the due dates for all of these various bills. So the rent and mortgage, January's rent, or excuse me, mortgage is going to be paid from my last paycheck in December. Right? You always want to pay your bills on time or ahead. So I'm not waiting until I get paid on the 9th to pay my mortgage. My mortgage will be paid before the 1st of January. So when I scroll over this, you'll see it says due February 1st. So in January, I am going to pay February 1st's mortgage. I'm going to do that with the second check. Our mortgage is $785 per month. Our homeowners association is due at the exact same time, and that's $55 a month. Okay, so I'm not going to split that up per pay period. I'm just going to pay the mortgage and the homeowners association with the check that I receive on January 23rd. Okay, so now housing is taken care of. Next, we're going to talk about utilities. These are the absolute necessities. These are the things I cannot get out of. I can't really turn off the electric. I suppose I could, but I wouldn't want to. And my family would probably leave me if I did, right? So we're going to pay that. And again, we're going to pay ahead of time. So this is due on the 5th of every month, which means, again, January's is actually going to be paid out of December's paycheck. So when I'm paying or when I'm saving money in January to pay this bill, I'm actually paying the bill that's due on February 5th. Okay, so we're going to do that out of the paycheck on the 23rd again. It's $150. The water bill, on the other hand, is due on the 30th. And so even though I could wait until the 23rd to pay this, to balance some things out, I'm going to pay the water bill with the check from the 9th. And so the water bill is anywhere between $67 and $70. So I'm just going to put 70. I'm going to always budget high and hope to come in low. Trash removal, again, same thing, due on the 24th. So I could wait until the 23rd to pay it. But to balance out my expenditures, I'll pay that $18.75 with the first check. The next important thing after putting food in your belly and a roof over your head is your transportation. You obviously got to get to and from work so that you continue to make an income so that you can pay your bills. And so here we're going to talk about transportation. My auto insurance drafts automatically on the 8th of every month. And so again, I don't get paid until the 9th. So I will be paying that out of December's money, and the money from here will go for February. So we'll take that out on the 23rd. I just recently had a great conversation with my car insurance company. And if you checked out last week's episode of Living Debt Free, we talked about cutting expenses. Well, I had gotten my renewal. My car insurance renews every 6 months in January and July. And my car insurance went up by 6% for January. And so I called and had a conversation with them about how long I've been a customer, the fact that I haven't had any claims, all of the different things that I felt warranted me paying less. And so my bill was going to be $96 a month. After talking to them and finding additional discounts, I saved 20% on my 6-month policy. So my 6-month renewal policy went from something like about $570 down to $450, give or take. Don't quote me on those numbers. The moral of this story is call your car insurance company and see if you could be saving more money than you already are. Okay, so $75.75. I budget, $75 each pay period for gas, oil, and maintenance. Now, I don't use $75 on gas every single pay period, so there's always a little bit left over. But what's great is that adds up over time, that extra, that little bit left over. And then every 3 months or so, when I need an oil change, I actually have the money already sitting in that account, ready to go get my oil change. So I don't have to budget a different line item. Registration emissions only happens once a year, and it doesn't happen in January for me, so no need to budget for that right now. Okay, so let's recap real quick. Food, housing, utilities, transportation. Those are the first 4 basic necessities. Make sure that these things are getting paid before anything else. In our household, we believe insurance is the next most important thing. So you already saw car insurance was taken care of in the transportation category. My health insurance is taken care of by my employer. And so we have life insurance policies because we think it's important as a married couple with kids to have protection in place. Heaven forbid something were to happen to either one of us. Okay. So my wife's premium is $20.71, and my premium is $27.75. Okay. My wife's life insurance is auto draft on the 2nd, and so we'll take that out of the 2nd paycheck for February 2nd, and mine comes out on the 17th, and so we will schedule that for the paycheck on the 9th. Okay, the next category is what I like to call luxuries. These are non-necessities in most households. Okay, for instance, the internet. It's a very nice to have. Not everybody has to have the internet. If you work from home or there's some other extenuating circumstance, you may need to have the internet. But the internet's usually not a necessity. It's usually a nice to have. And if you watched last week's episode of Living Debt Free, we talked specifically about how to cut expenses and how to eliminate expenses. And I share with you how this category used to be a lot bigger, and we've been able to trim it down a great deal. So my internet gets auto draft on the 4th. So we're going to do that out of the 2nd pay period. And I just had another conversation with my internet provider because my introductory rate went up. And so I called them and said, hey, what can you do about that? And so they were able to drop my bill by $15 a month. Okay, it might not be a lot, but $15 back in my pocket and not theirs. Cell phones is going to auto draft on the 9th. And so this one I'm actually going to schedule for the same day. Our cell phone bill is $80.75. So we will schedule that to come out with the first paycheck of the month. My daughter does dance, and that is due the 1st of every month. So again, January's will be paid with December money, and February will be paid with January money. So remember, in column B, I'm tracking the entire month, in columns C and D, I'm tracking which pay period I'm going to make the payment. We have a security system that costs us, I think it's around $30. I know it's shy of $30, but again, I'll budget over to come in under, and that auto drafts on the 14th, and so we'll have that come out of the 9th's paycheck. We have a subscription to abcmouse.com. That comes out on the 19th for $7.95. And we have a Hulu Plus subscription. That comes out on the 25th. But I'm going to allocate funds from the paycheck on the 9th for that. Again, to balance out the fact that I'm going to be paying the mortgage on the 23rd. Now this looked wrong as I highlighted $785. Our mortgage is not $785, it's $765. I ever shared with you guys that I'm a horrible multitasker, so trying to make sure that I cover everything with you guys, plus get all these numbers in the right cell. It's challenging for a guy like me, but this is how much I love you guys. I want you to see how a budget really works and how I do my budget every single month. Okay, so entertainment and recreation. It's important that you have a couple of dollars in your pocket. You work hard for your money. You should be able to drive through McDonald's if you want, or pick up a little snack here or there. Have some discretionary income. So in this category, my wife gets a little bit more than I do, and that's fine. We've agreed upon that. It works for us. So my wife gets $40 per pay period. I get $20 per pay period, and then we take out $10 per pay period for my 4-year-old's commissions. Yes, I have a 4-year-old on commissions. She has a chore list. For each chore, she gets a gold coin. Each gold coin represents a quarter. And so she has 4 or 5 chores a day, and if she does those, she can make herself anywhere between $5 and $7 in a week. She does the work, she gets paid. She doesn't do the work, she doesn't get paid. Works out fabulously. She averages herself about $7 a week. So she's a little worker bee. Okay, and then the last category is debts. And so this is where you would list all of your debts, smallest to largest, and cut through your debt with a vengeance. Now, my wife's student loans are in repayment. Mine are in forbearance, and we're going to leave them that way throughout the month of January. So my wife's minimum monthly payment is $451.85. That is a total of all these minimum payments on the various loans that make up her one Sallie Mae loan. So here's what we do. We want to pay off the smallest as quickly as possible. So we are going to pay the minimum on all the other loans. So we are going to pay the minimum monthly payment on all of the loans except for the smallest. We're going to throw any extra money we have at that smallest loan. So we're going to leave that blank for right now. And so as you can see down here at the bottom, because in column B, we've been tracking the month. And again, in columns C and D, we've been tracking the pay period. Currently, I have $512.66 that's unallocated. $512.42 of that is from the first paycheck and only 24 cents from the second. I kind of knew I had to balance some of those other things out back up here. So remember when I said I was going to pay things like ABC Mouse and Hulu Plus, and even like the water bill very early. It's because I know with the mortgage being paid with the 23rd check that I was going to have to use some of the money out of the 9th. And so I have $512.66 left over. Well, we want to give every single dollar an assignment. So let's think through the month of January. What else might I have going on in the month of January? Well, there are a few birthdays I have to account for. I have 2 birthdays, to be precise, and my wife and I have already agreed on what is the budget for an adult on their birthday and for a child on their birthday. And so we know what that number is. We know who we have to buy for in January, and so we know that the budget is going to be $60. We also know that the dogs need their license renewed. And that happens once a year. It happens every January. Each dog's license is $17. So we know that we need $34 to get the dogs licensed. With the license comes the need for one of our dogs to receive his rabies shot. And so that's going to be another expenditure. $12. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I like everything to show up just so. Okay, so those 3 expenditures are also going to come out of the first pay period, because obviously that's where the money is. That now leaves me with $406.66 left that's unallocated so far. There are no other expenditures coming up in January that we're aware of. That doesn't mean something can't pop up, but we're not aware of. And if something did come up, we would simply come back to the budget and adjust some numbers. But we're going to set this up right now as is. So with $406.42 left over, that is the payment I'm going to make to this first loan. Notice that the minimum monthly payment is $30.78. In order to pay off debt quicker, you throw every available dollar at it. So instead of making a $30 payment, we will make a $406 payment, 42 cents. Now, if I want to get really technical, I'd also send this 24 cents, but it's 24 cents. So instead, I'll put that into the sinking fund. I'll remove it from here. And so I'll just put that 24 cents in the sinking fund after I make all the other payments when I get paid on the 23rd. So next month, instead of this balance being $2,466, it'll be just around $2,000, and then we'll cut at it again next month, and the month after, and the month after. If I didn't have these other expenditures, I would be sending an additional $106, so a total of $512. So we're going to carry that over. We're going to carry the 24 cents over. And so in January, I get paid $3,826.40. Every dollar has a mission. Every dollar is on assignment. If I come in under on things like the birthday budget or the fact that I over budgeted for the water, anything extra could either go into the sinking fund or would go straight to debt. That's how simple it is for me to complete my monthly budget. Now it's in place. The next step is for me to share it with my wife, for her to look it over, to ask any questions, to let me know if I forgot something, if we're overlooking an item, or if she just has questions about why are we spending so much on any one particular area. So like I said, I wanted to take a few minutes to show you how a budget actually gets put together. This is my real budget for January. No BS. This is straight up exactly how January will play out. Again, if something comes up, and maybe I forgot about something, or maybe those tires are more than I expect them to be. I've already done my research, so I know what they're going to cost. But let's just say they're more than what I expect them to be. And so let's say I have $500 saved up. They become $550. Well, then I would come back to this number and I would send less money, still more than the minimum, but less money to pay off debt in order to cover that expense. But really, everything else, we've been doing this part of our budget for over a year now, actually almost 2 years. We know that we can make it on $200, and we know that we put this money in an envelope and we only spend out of that envelope. We don't take our debit card with us, so we're not swiping. And we know that this amount works for us with non-food items, and we know this amount works for us with baby fund. So this is the budget. This is me telling my money where to go versus wondering where it went. What would happen in the past is I would do something very similar, but I wouldn't have slowed down enough to know, hey, what am I going to do with this extra $400? And so $400 would just get spent on arbitrary bologna. And not bologna like sandwich bologna, because I don't like sandwich bologna. I mean, like, just utter ridiculousness. It would be meals out at restaurants and going to the movies and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, which sure was fun, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I can still do those things. It's a little harder on $40 a month, but I can still go out and have a very inexpensive meal. My wife and I have really learned how to cut back at restaurants where we can take a family of 4, feed us all at a nice place for about 20 bucks, right? But we use our own pocket money to do things like that. If we want to go out, we need to know that that's what we want to spend it on. And so, like I said, I wanted to share this, my actual January budget with you, just in case you're new to budgeting, or maybe you do a budget, but you don't do a zero-based budget, so you don't assign every single dollar on assignment. I would strongly encourage you to start budgeting this way. And I'll tell you, a couple of things happen when you start budgeting this way. One, you will feel like you got a raise, because that extra $400 that used to just get spent and kind of would disappear, you actually now know where exactly it went. Or I'm sorry, you know exactly where it's going to go, because there's a very big difference between swiping your card a bunch of times and then looking back at your bank statement and saying, oh, okay, so that's where that $400 went. That sucks. When you can look forward and say, okay, I have $400 left at the end of the month. This is what I want it to be spent on. And then you execute against that plan. You're going to feel in control. You're going to feel like you got a raise. The other reason I think it's important to do a zero-based budget is not only so you can tell your money where to go and you feel in control and you feel like you got a raise, but so that you can actually make progress. until it's on paper and you see it, you're not going to make progress. Until you look at your cell phone bill and it's $220 a month and you want to pull your hair out and ask yourself, why? Why, when every carrier is offering 2 phones, 2 lines with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and, whether it's 1 gigabyte of data, 10 gigabytes of data, every cell phone company right now seems to be offering 2 lines with those types of deals for like $100 a month. Well, if you have 2 or 3 lines and you're paying $160, $240, until you put it on paper, you're not going to really realize it. You're not going to have that light bulb moment. And once we put it on paper and started assigning every dollar a name and an emission, we were able to cut our expenses dramatically. Again, I encourage you to watch last week's episode of Living Debt Free for how to cut your expenses. But I had conversations with my car insurance company and with my internet provider this week alone, and both resulted in saving money. We've also done things like gotten rid of the satellite, and we only have the Hulu Plus subscription, so we save money there. But go definitely check that out. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me and checking out my budget. Remember, I offer free budgeting sessions. Your first 2 budgeting sessions are free to new subscribers. And I look forward to working with you on your budget. That's to do it for this episode of Living Debt Free. Again, I'm your host, Coach Nino Villa. Join us on Thursday nights at 8:30, 7:30 Central. In the meantime, request your free budgeting session by using the link I'll provide in the subscription. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments and questions below, and I'll engage with you guys that way as well. Have a great day.